travel bugs, we're Dianne and Guillermo. As many of you know, we retired early in 2018 and moved out of the United States to find our forever home somewhere in the world. We lived in Guadalajara, Mexico for the first 3 years, and now we just reached our 1-year anniversary, home based in Lisbon, Portugal. We wanted to give you a general update and share some of our experiences and things that stood out living here so far.
We've done quite a lot. Starting with traveling in and outside of Portugal, airline tickets inside the EU are affordable, with short flights to many of our favorite destinations. We got to go back to Mexico and the US. International travel out of Lisbon's airport is a breeze, and we've been pretty good maneuvering through the gates. We were lucky to avoid some of the recent long waits coming back in through immigration. We heard many horror stories from fellow expats. Things are a lot smoother nowadays. We chose to drive inside Portugal when we visited parts of the Algarve. We also went to Óbidos and took the fast train to beautiful Porto.
We successfully completed our self-appointments and received our Portuguese residency cards. We then were able to apply for our NHR tax status. We filed and paid Portuguese taxes, we obtained private health insurance, and got registered with the Public Portuguese Health Service, which allowed us to get our COVID booster shots. The dogs were also vaccinated and registered with the town. We did apply for an exchange to a Portuguese driver's license, but we're still waiting for the IMT to move along. If you want more details about the process of some of these immediate requirements upon arrival to Portugal, check out our 6-part Move to Portugal vlogs for useful information.
And how is learning Portuguese going, you may ask? Not good for me. I honestly haven't put enough effort to learn it since English and Spanish are widely spoken. But Dianne, on the other hand, she's been slowly learning more and challenging herself out there. We are hoping to take actual classes during the winter months since we won't be traveling as much. We had great experience with basic medical appointments, and we love hospital loops. They are super efficient with state-of-the-art infrastructure and well-qualified English-speaking doctors. We are both eating fish. It's so hard not to living in a coastal city. Our rental house has been good. We've had no issues. Our landlord responds right away, and we'll definitely be renewing for another year. The market crash has been rough on our investments, and we have an emergency fund with 2 years of expenses specifically for times like these that we have been dipping into. Monthly expenses have been just under $3,000 a month, which is on point with our projections. We are not including other expenses such as haircut, entertainment, etc. That is a variable expense based on your lifestyle. One expense not included in our budget is dog and house sitting. We spend €35 a day for Che and Buddy, and there is a high demand for pet sitters in Lisbon. We're considering using trusted house sitters again like we did in Mexico to save money, so the only expense is the annual membership. It helps living in a traditional Portuguese neighborhood. We live in Ajuda, only 15 minutes from downtown Lisbon, yet restaurant prices are almost half the cost compared to tourist areas. The prato do dia, or dish of the day, go for €6 to €9 in our local area compared to €13 to €16 in tourist areas.
The weather has also been very kind to us this first year. It does get cold in the winter, but not enough to wear thick coats and gloves. However, it gets very humid when it's cold, to the point that the bathroom walls show a layer of condensation. Opening the window for good airflow helps, and a dehumidifier goes a long way. The summer was unusually hot. A major heat wave struck Portugal. We happened to be on travel during those 2 hot weeks. It was so bad, many parks were closed temporarily. Forest fires across the north and a drought affected many unprepared Portuguese locals. Buddy and Che have been enjoying themselves. We have multiple parks all around. They love Monsanto and their daily walks around our quiet neighborhood. Buddy has been a bit overprotective of us. He has been mean to a few of the neighborhood dogs, earning the deserved nickname of Neighborhood Bully. We are working with him and socializing him more, and he's maturing and getting better and better.
Overall, we are loving living in Lisbon. It was the best decision to move here. We made Portuguese friends and met many expats through this channel and Facebook groups. A year passes by so quickly, and we look forward to another exciting one. We wanted to share with you some of the things that we learned and the things to adjust to while living in Lisbon. They're not complaints, they're just our personal observations, and we separate them into different categories. I'm sure we forgot a few or have yet to encounter some, Please share your own observations and your experience living in Portugal in the comments below. So without further ado, let's get it started. Portugal's bus system is great. They're clean, spacious, and they move fast throughout the city. But they're not always on time. We use 3 different transit apps to track buses, and they never seem to match arrival times. And if they do, many times the bus still arrives 10 or 15 minutes late. There are almost 150 non-stop flights out of Lisbon, a lot more than we expected. People using a pedestrian crossing in Portugal have absolute priority over all vehicles on the road. Sounds good, right? Well, many Portuguese drive fast and they like to tailgate. They will sometimes stop for a pedestrian at the last minute, causing cars behind to slam on their brakes. Our Uber car got rear-ended once in this case. We were good, but we were still hesitant crossing streets. Car emissions are much better in Portugal compared to Mexico. Gasoline and diesel are expensive here, and the gas stations are self-service. And remember, gasóleo means diesel, and gasolina means gasoline in Portuguese. Uber rides are almost 15% more expensive than Bolt. However, strap on, Bolt drivers tend to be more aggressive and faster. And beware of pickpockets on Tram 28. If you need a handyman, ask your neighbors. They will know someone who can help, and it will be a lot cheaper that way because you are considered a friend.
House renovations and construction are loud and lengthy. Cutting tiles and concrete smashing is exceptionally high-pitched and goes on for hours.
Dishwashers were not common in Mexico when we lived there. Luckily, they are in Portugal. But light fixtures, clothes dryers, and ceiling fans are not.
Hang drying is the way to go in Lisbon. Many washing machines in Portugal are located in the kitchen. Bidets and bathtubs are typical here, even in small spaces. They'll make them fit.
Refrigerators are small and freezers are tiny. Housing facades in Lisbon might stay intact in the original style to preserve the traditional aspect of the neighborhood. It's odd to see a single wall being held up during full renovations. There are many abandoned properties and ruins in Lisbon. Family discordia dealing with ownership of these is a common occurrence in Portugal, causing houses to sit and deteriorate over time.
Electricity is expensive here, depending on how efficient your home is, and an A, B, or C home rating is best. Lisbon homes were built to keep the heat out and not the cold. Walls are built with 2 layers of hollow brick. An outside layer of insulation on walls and roofs is common to make homes more heat efficient. The electrical outlets are 220 volt, not 110 like the US and Mexico. We brought some 3-prong outlet adapters for small devices. We didn't bring small appliances though, since they would need a transformer to work. We just bought new ones. There are all types of brands and prices available. Apartments are classified in types: T0, T1, T2, etc. That defines the number of separate bedrooms. T0 is a studio, T1 is a 1-bedroom, and so on.
Apartments are known as apartamento or andar, and detached houses are vivendas or moradias.
Also, unlike the US, the first floor in a building is known as the ground level, 0 in the elevator, and the floor above street level is known as the first floor, or 1 in the elevator. The street type abbreviation is placed before the street's name and the building number after it, where in English you'd write 12 Broadway Street, In Portuguese, you'd write Rua de Broadway 12. Time is depicted in 24 hours. There is no AM or PM. The date and month are switched. Instead of doing month, day, year, in Portuguese it would be day, month, year. So August 2nd, 1980 would be 2nd August 1980. It's almost tripped us up a few times with appointments and expiration dates.
Many restaurants outside the tourist areas are closed between 3 and 7 p.m. Almost everything is closed on Sundays.
Portugal is not a tipping society. Outside of the tourist areas, it is not asked for or expected, but leaving a little extra for outstanding service is always appreciated. Customer service is almost non-existent in retail, and bureaucracy can be frustrating. Start early and expect lots of paperwork, and no explanations for delays or canceled appointments. Everyone takes their sweet time, and it actually feels good once you adjust to a slower pace. So just be patient and enjoy every experience. You need a ticket to wait in line almost everywhere. You do not see a lot of women in high heels like Mexico or the US unless it is a special occasion. There are hills to be dealt with in Lisbon, so everyone wears comfy shoes. A lot of people smoke in Portugal, but they are starting to crack down on new indoor smoking laws. Plus, a pack of cigarettes is expensive, so many locals choose to buy tobacco instead and roll their own smokes.
A Portuguese smoker who consumes a pack a day will spend 1,825 euros on cigarettes in a year, which is equivalent to 18% of the country's annual average net income.
Elderly Portuguese can be a bit standoffish and closely tied to their community. If you keep smiling, though, you'll eventually crack the surface and get a smile in return. The 5 to 7 hour time difference in Portugal from the US makes it a little harder to stay in touch with family and friends. The only violence we have seen in 1 year living here was 2 elderly ladies arguing over a seat in the bus. We've been a lot more relaxed living day to day without having to watch over our shoulder. The days of the week in Portuguese are numbers except for the weekend. So starting with Sunday or Domingo, Monday is the second or Segunda, Tuesday is the third or Terça, and so on.
European Portuguese is hard to understand even for Brazilians, and fluent Spanish speakers struggle with the pronunciation. Reading Portuguese is definitely easier.
We found it easier to meet and make friends in Lisbon from all over the world. Cash is good to have on hand in any country, but most Portuguese businesses have contactless card readers here. You can also choose MBWay, a digital wallet attached to your Portuguese bank account that allows you to pay for almost anything from the comfort of the app or at an ATM. We even paid our Portuguese taxes using MBWay at the ATM.
Opening a bank account in Portugal took us less than an hour. The Amoreira Mall branch was very efficient and everyone spoke English. Lisbon is not only about the beautiful tile-covered facades, but also the cool graffiti and street art. Costco does not exist here. We don't need it or miss it. If you absolutely want it, The closest one is in Sevilla, Spain. There is no Amazon Portugal yet, but you can use and pay for Prime services with Amazon Spain instead. You can use your Portuguese address for deliveries.
Mail service is great. We have not had any problems with the local courier CTT, and we've received packages from Amazon Spain and even from AliExpress all the way from China. Getting around Lisbon's narrow and steep roads is much easier in a small car. Downtown Lisbon is noisy on the weekends. We love our neighborhood. It's quiet all the time, day and night.
Roundabouts are everywhere here, and they are efficient when everyone follows the rules.
There are recycling bins and trash cans on every block. It certainly makes it easier to do the right thing and help our planet.
We're happy to be back in our country with live shows and entertainment start on time, and there are tons of festivals during the summer.
Sidewalks are in good condition and crafted beautifully, but watch out. They are the literal meaning of slippery when wet. Make sure to carry an umbrella and wear shoes with a good grip on rainy days.
Bacalhau, or dried salted cod, is Portugal's national dish, but it's actually imported from Norway. But no matter where it comes from, Portuguese cook it in so many ways, and they are all delicious.
Pastéis de nata, little pieces of deliciousness that Portugal is famous for. The original ones are from Pastéis de Belém. But to avoid the line, you can get our favorites from Mantegueria, right across the street.
Which one is your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. Uber Eats and Glovo are the most used food delivery services here in Lisbon. Glovo is 15% cheaper, and the services are efficient and well presented by both. The curse of Montezuma's revenge has been lifted ever since we left Mexico. We have not had any issues eating out in Portugal, and we can also drink the tap water.
You must deposit €1 to unlock a cart at the grocery store. If you want the deposit back, you must lock it up again to the line of carts. Espressos are to Portuguese like tequila is to Mexicans. They drink it every day, multiple times a day. The drinking age in Portugal is 18 years old, but we've never seen it being enforced, and we've seen some questionable youngsters at the bars. Wines are inexpensive and delicious. We've learned about many new grapes and that every region of Portugal produces wine. The tasting portions at wine events are substantial compared with a tiny drip that you get in the US. You can find pretty much anything you want food-wise with a little searching. El Corte Inglés has typical foods from the US that are difficult to find in other grocery stores. And the Martín Moniz neighborhood has amazing Asian markets. There are even a couple of Mexican food markets in Lisbon. There are wide, clean, and quiet beaches with no vendors harassing you or loud music playing everywhere. The Atlantic Ocean water is cold even in the summer. You might want to consider a wetsuit. Sailing is a thing in Lisbon. We don't know much about it, but we're looking forward to some classes in the near future. There are leash laws in Lisbon, but they are not strictly enforced, especially in the residential areas. There are many friendly neighborhood cats that run free on the streets and are fed by the community. Lisbon has multiple enclosed dog parks in each and every neighborhood. Dogs are allowed on the beach except during bathing season from June to September. There are self-wash dog stations conveniently located at several Galp gas stations throughout Lisbon, starting at €1 for 2 minutes. Bugs in Portugal are tame compared to Mexico. There are no scorpions, no excessively large cockroaches, and even the mosquitoes are fewer and less aggressive. Slugs, caterpillars, lizards, tiny spiders, and flies are annoyingly common in Portugal, depending on the time of the year. We learned about leishmaniasis that is carried by sandflies and is a serious disease for dogs. They need an annual vaccination against it. We also learned about processional caterpillars that must be watched out for around February every year, as they can be extremely dangerous to dogs, cats, and people. If not treated rapidly, exposure can be fatal. Well, that's it. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions about anything you saw, leave a comment or reach out via our Instagram or Facebook pages. Thank you for watching.